why property investors need a rainy day fund, okay? So, you must have a rainy day fund for when things inevitably go wrong, all right? So if you've got one property or 10 or 50, you need to have a rainy day fund. You need to have in your current account a pot of money there. I'll talk about how much that should be later on. That'll give you broad strokes really, so that you can access it to get things done. So before I go into it, just reminding now, I was speaking to one of our contractors yesterday, brilliant contractor, been using it on 4 or 5 years, looks after most of our properties now, you know, the small maintenance side of jobs. He deals with another couple of landlords, and this is what's obviously prompted me to do the video. One of their properties, they need a new roof on. Now, for us, because we've got a property on the same street, their property is a mid-terraced, so it's just a simple up and over roof. Probably with scaffolding both sides. It's not that large of a property. You're probably looking at about £5,000-6,000 there or thereabouts. However, the landlord doesn't have the money for that, or is obviously refusing to put a new roof on. Now, you've got to think to yourself, really, if you're looking to be in this for the long run, which most of my mentees are, understanding that definitely I'm not one of these hype people that says, you know, I can promise financial security within 30 days and all this type of nonsense. For us, you know, it's about that, having that black belt discipline and understanding that good things come to those who delay gratification and are building strong foundations. So, the vendor of that property isn't willing to or cannot afford to put on a new roof, and as a result then the tenant's not paying the rent because apparently it's been going on for months, this, and they just keep patching it up. So what you always need to do is, you might not have any property at the moment, and there's nothing wrong with that. You might have 1, 2 or 3, congratulations. You might, if you've got 5 or 10, you know about this anyway, you should know about this. You should always have a pocket of money or a pot of money that keeps getting built on each and every month. Okay, so your general cash flow from properties, if you're not a trader, so you're not doing flips, is going to be the cash flow from the rents minus the mortgages and building insurance and so on, and that's pretty much going to be cash flow for each property you've got. Now, some people say, well, shall I have £10,000 for each property? So imagine if you've got 5, that's £50,000 tied up, or not tied up, but you've got access to. It's a fantastic situation to be in, but could that £50,000 not be being used better elsewhere by investing in another property to bring in more cash flow and so on, and obviously edge against inflation and in turn, you know, build on your wealth over the next 10, 20 years? What I would do is, and it's just about getting into the best practices, as soon as you invest in your first property, if it cash flows £300-400, you know, swipe off £100 every single month and put it into a separate DNT account, do not touch account. They're not called that at the banks. You just set up a basic account so that you've set up a standing order every month. £100 goes into this bit here, okay? And if you're a business owner, which you may be now watching this type of business, you should have that for your business as well, okay? You should always have an account that siphons off money each and every month just for when things go wrong. So then at the end of the year, at least you've got this money there available. Your accountant's going to know about it anyway, rather than obviously living right up to your means. So if you've got 2 or 3 properties, I'd still keep that £100 times 2 or 3 dropping into this account, because then at the end of the year, you're going to have somewhere between £1,200 and £3,600, £1,200 or £3,600. And that again is going to compound over the years and so on. Now, if you're lucky enough to not touch it for a year, 2 years, fantastic, you've got a nice pot of money there. But just be aware when these things happen that it might be going all swimmingly and all smooth for a few months, and then suddenly, you know, one of your tenants has reported a damp problem, and now that's going to cost £5,000 to get sorted. Then 2 months later, one of the tenants now has not told you it's been leaking for the last 7 or 8 months, and you do find out you need a new roof putting on. The tenant hasn't been looking after the boiler, you didn't take out a warranty, and now you need to spend £1,200 on a brand new boiler. So you must have access to that money there. So again, best practice is to make sure you siphon off each and every month. Just set it up as a standing order, transfer 100 or £80 or £120, whatever, as long as there's something going into this DNT account every month. It's just best business practice. Now, if it becomes quite large, and again, you know, in relation to the number of property you've got, then that's a fantastic position to be in. I would rather have too much month, what a lovely problem that is to have, and not as many properties, than lots of properties but I can't afford to maintain them. Again, one of Jim Rohn's brilliant quotes, I'm sure it's Jim Rohn's, make sure that you have too much money left at the end of the month, not too much month left at the end of the money. The same principle, the same philosophy applies to your property investing journey. Always have that DNT account available to access, because when things go wrong, and they do go wrong, and you need to fix them, because in my experience, and I've been investing since 2007, got a reasonable portfolio, things don't just fix themselves, okay? You need to get it fixed in order for that asset to obviously grow in value and keep providing you with that cash each and every month. So yeah, keep disciplined, get your affairs, your finances in order, read books on or watch some of the videos. I remember, you're always thinking to yourself, how can I edge my bets really? If you're lucky enough to have £5,000 cash flow coming in each and every month from your properties and it's all passive income, the last thing you want to do is spend all that all of the time, because then when something does happen, you're either going to tap into your own personal savings, or again, if you're a business owner, pull money from that business to feed this business. And ideally, this should be completely separate. I don't want this to go into a financial education about keeping businesses separately and so on like that, because you want the accountants mixing up. But the thing that I need you to understand is have that separate account, understand that things will go wrong, and it's your job as an investor, an entrepreneur, whatever it is you'd like to call yourself, that I need to have that backup plan, because things are going to go wrong and it's not going to catch me out. I'm going to be able to get it fixed when the time is needed, and then again I'm going to be able to move on and so on. So the question is, how much do you have? So if you've got 10 properties, let's just use that as a round number now, and they're all, 2-bed, boring vanilla buy-to-lets, and there's nothing wrong with boring vanilla buy-to-lets, definitely not. They're often the properties that give you the least headache, and the money tends to come in each and every month fairly regular. Then if you're shaving off £100 each month for that, that's £1,000 a month dropping into that DNT account. That's a lovely position to be in. If you haven't then had to invest in any of those 10 properties over a year, well done. You've then got £12,000 at the end of the year. You might think, right, well, do you know what? I'll take another 5,000 that can then go into my pot to reinvest. It's just up to you and your risk tolerance and so on. Now again, I'm definitely not a financial advisor or anything like that. Please don't quote me on any of these things, but I do know about best business practices, and you want to make sure that you're always in the black and never in the red. Make sure that you've got the ability to look after your properties, because if you want to keep them for the long haul, which I'm sure if you've been watching this video long enough now, and especially if you've watched any of my other videos, you understand that property is a long-term strategy, all right? If you're familiar with reading any of the successful autobiographies, or even some of the stuff like when you're looking at Rich Lists or Forbes, most of the time they've got something to do with real estate. It might even be hotels or something along those lines, and they tend not to sell them. They tend to keep hold of them for the long haul. All right, so good luck. If you found any value in this video, obviously hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to. But maybe check out the link as well. Possibly apply for the Black Belt Property Accelerator. Again, it's a no hype thing. That's not the way I approach it. I help mentees with the discipline, the judgment, the clarity and the focus. Yes, of course, we teach property and some, but that's the vehicle we use to obviously help them achieve their goals. Good luck. Keep taking steps further forward. Like I said, have a look at the Black Belt Property Accelerator if you want. And read some of the blogs on there also on my website, which is dervishdervish.com. And you never know, I might be in touch. Good luck. Take care.